But the story that we are breaking right at the top of the news today, top government sources telling India today that a CBI probe will now be ordered into the Manipur gang rape horror, the viral video that has sparked off the entire debate on Manipur. Sources telling us that the centre will seek a Manipur trial in Assam instead. Sources saying the government's priority now is negotiations and normalcy in Manipur, and attempts are now being held to hold talks between Meitei and Kuki-Zomi communities, between their leaders and groups representing them. Informal talks at the moment, formal level talks have not begun. The Prime Minister reportedly monitoring the situation, the talks taking place under the Home Ministry's ambit. Joining me now is Rahul Kanwal with all the very latest. Rahul, can you tell us what exactly is the government's plan now for Manipur?
Rajdeep, there was a high-level government briefing this evening in the capital where the central message is that Home Minister Amit Shah at the highest levels is working the back-channel conversation with senior representatives of both the Kuki and the Meitei community in an effort to bring them on the negotiating table. There are those in both communities who think that the first effort should be to try and bring peace at this moment and end this current round of violence, and then the others who say that other demands, like there being separate administrative areas for the Kuki community, for the Meitei community, should also be discussed at this moment. So efforts are on to try and bridge those differences and bring them on the negotiating table. Also, a sense given into the historic nature of this conflict, making the point that this is not a China conspiracy, this is not a Hindu-Christian clash, rather an ethnic strife which has many past instances going back several decades of similar clashes between different communities, and also making the point, Rajdeep, importantly, which will be important in the context of what happens in Parliament, that when there were clashes in 1993, when 750 plus people died, 350 villages at that time were uprooted, it was the Minister of State for Home Affairs who spoke on the behalf of the government in Parliament, and it was Rajesh Pilot as the MOS MHA who went to Imphal at that time. Government records apparently show he spent only 3 hours there, 2 at the airport doing some meetings and 1 hour at the Chief Minister's residence. The government seeking to make the point that Home Minister Amit Shah went there for 3 nights. Nityanand Rai, the Minister of State for Home Affairs, was there for 22 days, and therefore the government trying much more than in the past to try and be hands-on. And on the issue, Rajdeep, of the Prime Minister, the sense that there have been several days when he and the Home Minister have spoken more than 3 times in the day, speaking to the Home Secretary, speaking to officials in Manipur, whether he was in France or the United States or anywhere in India, and staying fully abreast of the situation. So far from being callous to what was happening, the Prime Minister, while he hasn't spoken much in public on this issue, but behind the scenes keeping a very close eye on what was going on.